All right, welcome back. We've got just a few minutes, so let's cut right through all the noise and get to the stock market news you actually need to know for today. Ready? Let's jump in. So, here's what we're going to cover. First, a quick snapshot of the market today. Then, we'll look at the big company winners and losers. After that, we'll zoom out to the bigger economic picture. And finally, we'll peek at what's coming up next. Let's get to it.
Okay, so everything we're talking about today is pulled from these top 10 headlines. Now, I know at first glance it might look like just a jumble of news, right? But don't worry, our job here is to connect those dots for you and really show you what was driving the market.
All right, let's kick things off with today's market snapshot. You know, if I had to sum up the day in one phrase, it would be a mixed bag. Seriously, there were all these conflicting signals just pulling the market in totally different directions.
So, the day started with this feeling of real uncertainty. On one hand, you had the GIFT Nifty, which is kind of like an early warning system for the Indian market, and it was signaling a positive start. But that optimism got a reality check pretty quick with the US market down and Asian markets all over the place. It really created a super unpredictable mood for traders.
And you can totally see the result of that tug of war right here. I mean, despite all those choppy signals from around the globe, both the Sensex and the Nifty, they managed to close in the green. But, and this is a big but, just barely. We're talking gains of 0.03 and 0.05%. So yeah, basically a flat day, but hey, a win is a win, right?
Okay, so we've seen the whole market. Now let's zoom in on the individual companies. It's time to check out the corporate scorecard and see who had a great day and who, well, didn't.
And wow, we've got to start with this number. Just look at that. 122%. That's the massive Q4 net profit growth from fintech company Groww. I mean, what an absolutely stellar performance. No wonder it was one of the top stories of the day.
And Groww wasn't popping the champagne alone. Bank of Maharashtra also put up some really strong numbers, with its net profit jumping over 36%. And then you've got Trent. Its stock is up a whopping 30% just this month, mostly because there are these rumors flying around about a potential bonus share announcement. All in all, a really good day for these guys.
But you know how it goes in the market. It wasn't good news for everybody. For every incredible success story, there's always a flip side.
And this really is a tale of two companies, isn't it? The contrast is just so stark. You have Groww, where revenues shot up 81%, which is what fueled that insane profit growth. And then you have the cloud company E2E Networks, which went in the complete opposite direction. Their net profit dropped by almost 53%. It just goes to show you how different things are out there. Consumer fintech is on fire, while the cloud market has some seriously intense competition.
Okay, so we've been focused on the individual trees. Let's zoom out and look at the whole forest, the bigger economic picture. What were those huge macro forces that were pushing and pulling on the entire market today?
So a big headline today was about the Reserve Bank of India. It seems like they're easing some rules, but the big question is, what did they actually do? And maybe more importantly, why now?
Let's break it down. Basically, the RBI did two things. They pulled back some rules on offshore derivatives. Those are just financial contracts that are traded outside of India. And they also made it easier to trade the rupee. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, the whole point is to make it simpler for international businesses to invest and do business in India. The hope is that this gives a nice little boost to trade.
The other big macro story of the day was all about oil. Global prices actually fell today, but it wasn't because of the usual supply and demand stuff. Nope, this was all about geopolitics. There's this growing feeling that talks between the US and Iran might actually happen, and that just eased tensions in the Middle East a bit, which brought prices down. It's a perfect example of how what happens in global politics can hit your wallet.
And that brings us to our final section, and my favorite, Future Watch. It's time to put on our prediction hats, look beyond today, and see what big things are coming up just around the corner.
First up, there's a huge move happening in the commodities world. The Multi-Commodity Exchange, you might know it as MCX, just got the green light from SEBI, the market regulator, to set up a brand new coal exchange. This is a really big deal for how energy and commodities get traded in India.
But hold on, that's not all. Sticking with these big market-shaking moves, there is a fintech giant that's getting ready to go public. And trust me, it is a name you definitely know.
Yep, it's Razorpay. They're getting ready to file for their IPO, and they're targeting a valuation of $5 to $6 billion.
This is absolutely shaping up to be one of the biggest, most watched IPOs of the year, for sure.
So that leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on, right? On one side, you've got this massive IPO from a fintech superstar. On the other, a fundamental change to the commodities market with this new coal exchange. So the question is, which of these moves do you think is going to reshape the market more in the long run? Something to think about. That's all for today's briefing. Thanks so much for tuning in.